Hello and welcome to another Spectrum Geeks video. My name is Dale, and in today's video we're hopefully removing the front clam of my Evora 400. Let's do it. So if you're watching some of the other videos, I'm doing a fair bit of maintenance on my Lotus Evora 400, and the next step for me is to remove the front clam. I've not done this on the Evora before. On my Lotus Elise Series 2 I had a long time ago, I mentioned I managed to take that off on my drive, so obviously here with the lift and everything it should be a lot easier. This will all be one video for you. I might have to do it over a few nights depending on how long it takes me, how fiddly it is to get certain bolts and what have you, and if I'm going to need someone to help lift it off. But anyway, let's get started. I have somewhat cheated before the video. Blue Peter style is one I made earlier. The first job for me is to remove the front Lotus badge, and the reason for that is back in the day Lotus used to bolt those on. Now my understanding is that they don't bolt them on anymore. It's kind of got the 3M tape on it, and that's exactly what happened to me. So I'll just show you what I used so that you can see. You might decide that you need to use some fishing line or some strong dental floss to get behind it. Let me just swing the camera around. So this is a bit in question, and what I was able to do, again using a nice chunky cloth like this, and then I've got various plastic trim tools, just be able to get that under the edge there like that and pry it up, and as you can see it's come straight off. Basically, in terms of the reason for this is because one of the things we have to do, there's a bolt in there, looks like 10mm from what I can see, but if you can't get that bolt off, this whole area isn't going to be coming off. So I wanted to do that first and obviously make sure I could get the badge off. So you can see it's just a load of sticky back 3M stuff. I have seen some people have changed that, put some Velcro on there. I'll worry about that later, but now that's off, I'll just get that 10mm bolt. We'll see if it's 10mm and see if we can undo that. That bolt should be self-retaining, so we haven't got to worry about it dropping down inside the vehicle. But I'll put this to one side and then we'll come back and look at that. Okay, so double checked, it is 10mm, so we'll just get that out of here. So again, difficult thing to record. If you hear a big clunk, it means that it wasn't a retaining bolt like it's supposed to be, and then we've got some trouble. I need to get some tweezers or something in there. I have got a nice pair of tweezers somewhere, but obviously I can't find them. So some needly nosed pliers. So that's the one bolt out, and I think I can't quite tell if that is a washer on there or not. Yeah, I think there's a washer there as well, so let's see if we can get that out. Yep, and there we go, there's a washer inside. So I'll try and move the camera basically to see, leaves it with a bolt sticking up. Just in there, there's a little bolt there. So that's probably not the hardest bit, but now we will delve into the wheel arches and start undoing bolts in there. Okay, so before we kind of start removing things, I mentioned this in previous videos, I guess I should mention it again. I'm not a Lotus mechanic, I'm not a mechanic at all, just consider myself to be somewhat handy. We do our wide car maintenance and that sort of thing. So if you don't feel comfortable doing any of this, get someone else to do it. I take no responsibility if you break your car. So we already took off the bolt where the Lotus badge was, and you can also see here I'm already missing the A panels. So I took those off in a separate video, which you can look back on this Lotus maintenance playlist, but essentially there's 2 bolts up here and 2 bolts under the sill, and the A panel comes off. I'm not going to show you me undoing all of these bolts, but basically to do the kind of bolts in here, you're going to need 2 things. One is a 10mm spanner, because some of the bolts don't have retaining clips, they have a nut on the top, so you need 10mm for the nut. All of the bolts themselves are 8mm. I'm going to point them out as best I can. I might just grab a light as well. You do need to unclip the lights, so I'll take you kind of through that process. There is a slight chance that you may have to realign the lights, but I very much doubt it. You're going to put them back in exactly the same position, so that should be fine. But again, light adjustment should be somewhat straightforward. I'm also going to, when I come to put everything back together, some of the bolts, unsurprisingly, are a bit rusted, so I'm going to replace them with stainless when I put things all back together and generally give things a bit of a clean up. So the reason I have to remove the lights is there's a bolt underneath the light. It's 10mm. Actually, it's a nut that you'll have to get to and undo, but we'll look at that in a moment. So let me point out the nuts that you need to remove, and I'll get that done, and then I'll take you through getting access to the light nut, and then we'll move on to where the washer bottle fluid and everything is, because we'll have to do that as well. So not many bolts. What's time consuming about this job is everything is fiddly to get at. Now, I'm not sponsored by Halfords, unfortunately, but one thing I do recommend, I can't find my 10mm one, I must use it in the house somewhere, are these ratchet spanners. So as well as having a socket set, which is obviously really handy, and obviously I use these smaller ones for this type of job, but having these ratchet spanners makes things so much easier in tight confined spaces. So let me grab a torch and I'll show you what we're going to be undoing in here. Okay, so first bolt you have to undo is this 8mm bolt just here. As you can see, there's 2 that connect to like a L bracket to the chassis, slightly bent over, and that 8mm bolt there. It's just next to what you would have removed for one of the A panels. So get that off, and then obviously this back half will come loose. Then under here we have another 2 bolts. This one here is very thin and rusty, so I definitely recommend you use a spanner on that as opposed to a socket. Again, it is 8mm. A bit further down we have another 8mm one. Just here, this one has a 10mm bolt on the top of it as well. So socket on the bottom, 10mm kind of wrench on the top there, spanner. And if we look a bit further down, try and get the light in there. A bit further down, you can see just there, that is another 8mm bolt. Again, one of these really thin, skinny ones. So again, I recommend a spanner on that. That gets the main right hand side disconnected from the bumper. Then there is a bolt that's quite hard to see, but it's just up to the left. I'll see if I can point to it here. Just here. It's very difficult to get at. So again, takes a while with a spanner to get hold of that one. And then for the lights, there is one bolt here, another bolt just over here, and then one all the way down. It's hard to see probably, just right down the end there. So I recommend taking this little metal bracket off. Again, 2 8mm, take that off, put it somewhere. I'm going to re-galvanise that, I think, or re-spray some galvanising spray. Put those bolts back in so you don't get them lost. And again, try and keep a note of where all these bolts are. Some of them may have some washers on. Again, that tricky one just there has a washer, so keep track of those. So apologies, not the best camera angles. Once I've got everything undone, I'll show you what it looks like so you can see what the end result is like. Okay, so time to check in. I'm going to show you what it looks like under the arch, but I just thought I'd kind of clarify some of the bolts. So in terms of the light bolts, the one furthest away, the hardest one to get to, is like this and does have a washer with it, so make sure you don't lose that. And then the 2 that are kind of easy to access just standard 8mm. So put those to one side so you know that they are for the light. And in terms of the other bolts that I have here, so this one is kind of going in order as close to the front of the car. So that's one that's a bit tricky to get to from the angle. This one with a washer is one of these really crappy, really thin 8mm ones. Then there's one with the bolt and the nut. And again, another one of the really flat, crappy ones with the washer. And then this one was up above the A panel. So if we have a little look up here, obviously that one has been removed. We swizzle round. I did drop this little bolt behind here, so I'll have to get that after. But if we look, bolts removed, that enabled us to get to the light bolt right down the end there. Two removed from here. Make sure it's in focus. One from here, and then the awkward one from round there. So now what you'll notice, if you push up at the back, you have some movement, and here. And what we need to do is I'm going to get a rag, put it on top of the light here, because I'm going to basically swizzle the light back in underneath to give us access to a bolt that's here, and that's a 10mm nut, actually, a nut and a washer, and there is a spacer in there as well. We're going to get access to the spacer until the front comes off, and then we'll have to pop that panel open as well. So let me show you how I kind of position the light, and then we get access to that 10mm nut. Okay, so this is the rag and I have handy. Just going to pop that around there for now, and what I'm going to do basically is where the light is sat on this bracket, I'm just going to pivot it back so it pops behind that mounting, which then must give us space at the front. So I'll just move it and then show you what the end result looks like, because it's a two-handed job really. Okay, so this is the light kind of propped back and up, and then from the other side this is how it looks. So if you can't easily take the light out, you've got the washer jet hose and all that sort of stuff, so it's easier just to move it out of the way where it's going to rest on the front clam. Also you've got access to move that around because it's loose, and then it's over here that we're trying to get access to. So in here is the 10mm bolt and a washer, and then underneath is a spacer, but again we can't get access to that. Once we've undone this bolt, take that off and the washer, and then we get at the spacer when the front of the clam comes off. So let me just undo that and I'll show you what it's like. Okay, so that's what you're going to be left with, at 10mm nut and washer. And then we look up here, you can see just the retaining bolt is there. And again, now we've got a little bit more movement in there. But now it's time, pop open that flap and then work out how we kind of have to disconnect anything else. So I'm going to lower the car down for that because it'd be a bit easier for me. Okay, so here we are with the front kind of little reservoir section opened up. If you can't remember how to do that, the kind of clip for that, at least in the UK, is in the passenger side down in the footwell near the centre column. So that's how you get access to that. So here what we're going to do is, obviously I recommend before actually coming onto the middle, replicate what we've done on this right hand side on the left, so all the bolts are undone. And then basically we want to undo pretty much everything we can in here that might be connected. So the brake reservoir, we'll undo that one, make sure we don't lose that somewhere. The washer fluid bottle, we'll undo that. We'll disconnect the jets from the pipes from the washer jets. Also disconnect the, looks like that's actually got a clip on it. We'll have to see if how easy that comes undone, but disconnect the electrics for that as well. And then we may need to fully remove the latch unless we can find an easy way to get access to that cable. But I'll take these things apart and then I'll give you an update on what I actually needed to disconnect. Okay, so I'm nearly ready to remove the front clam, I think. Most of the bolts in there are 8mm, but there was some cheeky 7mm bolts that I'd used for the washer bottle fluid. But let me show you what we've got. I did cut some of the cable ties as well, so I could have better movement of the kind of pipes and stuff. So let me just show you what we've got. So these are the 7mm ones. I've just taken those off and put them back in so I don't lose those or the retaining clips. There was an 8mm one either side of here for the brake reservoir, and then I've undone the clip for the washer jets and the hose for the washer jets, so they can both just feed in through there when we take it off. The issue I have is that if I move these out of the way, obviously when we take this off, that cable is going to want to go back through that retaining hole, which is going to be fiddly. So I think I'm going to have to take this off and then unclip it at the back. It's hard to see on the video, but you'll see it's kind of clipped in the rear. So I'm going to take that off. Looks like 8mm, and then I'll let you know how that looks. Okay, so I did end up taking the latch off and just put the bolts back in there so that I don't lose them and put them to one side. So I think now what I need to do is just feed the latch cable down and in through here a little bit, so it should just pop out of this retaining piece here, poke it through that hole, a little grommet, and then I think we should be in a position to lift this off. So obviously I record that, so when it's a failure you can see me drop it and wish I hadn't tried this on my own. Okay, so Jeremy Beadle is not alive anymore, so you can't sell this. But let's see how this feels. It feels like it's going to come off. Yep, it's definitely loose there. Definitely feeling loose there. Not sure how well. I think it's there. We should have a better place to put this down after, but I need a bigger garage. But it's off. So that's it. I managed not to drop it. It's a bit heavier than I expected actually. More awkward because the weight distribution is a little bit odd, but I've tucked it to the one side over here and hope I don't damage it. It's probably going to take me a few weeks until I get some more time to move on to the next part. So I think in this video I'm not going to show you putting it back together. Basically, obviously it's the reverse, so it'll probably take you another 2 hours I guess to put it back together. I would recommend, even though I haven't done it yet, having some help when you come to put it back, because you're going to want someone to be helping to feed those cables back into the front clam as you're offering it up. So again, you probably only need someone for 10 minutes or so just to help with that alignment piece, and you should be good. Now, just before I finish the video, the reason I've taken this off is because I've got a problem with my HVAC system, and to get to the HVAC system you need the front clam off, and I may also be replacing the air conditioning condenser as well, so I might have to take the front bumper off as well, but that's going to be separate videos. So next video is going to be on fixing the HVAC system where the fans are stuck on all the time, and then the second one is to sort out the air conditioning by replacing the condenser and the other thing that I can't remember. But hopefully this video has helped. If it has done, please like, please consider subscribing. There's more videos to come in my Lotus Evora maintenance playlist. But until the next one, take care of yourself, and if I'm lucky, I'll see you soon. Take care and bye for now.